I'm gonna keep going. This is not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep asking. I'm gonna keep putting pressure. I have to know what happened to my mom.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Steph if you're new here, and as always, we thank you guys for tuning in. I just want to thank you guys so much for checking out our last episode on Aaliyah Brown. That episode did really well, of me just revisiting that case that I touched on 7 years ago. And I'm hoping that we can do the same thing for this next family. When I touched on Aaliyah Brown's story 7 years ago, I was just praying that some new information would turn up. I didn't have a lot of information to go off of, but I knew that putting it out there one day, it would come back to be in the limelight, and that's exactly what happened. So I hope that we can do the same for this next family. So I'm gonna need your help. So let's get into it. There are so many missing person cases where investigators have almost nothing to go on. And you guys know, if you've been following me, or if you ever have a case, no case too small, too big, we'll always put it on here, especially the ones that don't get proper media attention, right? Well, in this case, this family has worked so hard to get their family member story out there. And so today we are going to be discussing the disappearance of 53-year-old Ana Lorena Barbosa. Now, she disappeared from the Oildale, California area back in May of 2024 and has not been seen since. But as investigators search for answers, there's another story that began to emerge. One that Ana was kind of writing herself. So this story will go through diary entries, family accounts, public available information, and we're just going to walk through it as kindly and respectful as possible, because I always want to, remind our viewers that, this is someone's family, this is someone's loved one, and you have to treat it with the utmost respect, and that's always my due diligence. And there has not been any conviction regarding Ana's disappearance, and she is still missing till this day. Now, before we dive into the investigation, I want to talk about Ana, who she was. She wasn't just another missing persons case. She was a mother, she was a wife, she was a daughter. She was a woman, according to her loved ones, that cared very deeply about her family and the life that she was building. Those closest to her say that this is very unlike her, uncharacteristic actually. And when they did not hear from Ana and it went silent, they knew that something was wrong.
We won't be doing this if we knew she was that type of person.
Maria Laurel is one out of 11 siblings Barbosa has. She says her sister was always friendly and always wanted to have many friends. The last time she spoke to her, her sister told her something unsettling.
She asked me for help, but she didn't specify what kind of help she needed.
Now, Ana Barbosa disappeared on May 6, 2024. Like I said, out of Oildale, California, near Bakersfield. She was reported missing 2 days later by her husband, Fabian. Now, after several misleading statements to the police about the night of his wife's disappearance, Fabian lured up and he quit cooperating with the investigation. Now, while he started off sharing a mix of these social media posts about Ana, those had stopped. It also had been reported that he had numerous guns in his home, which Ana never knew about. And there was also statements that he could make her disappear, and many other allegations of abuse, domestic violence that occurred in their relationship as well.
They were arguing at his car shop, and that she took off through the back door.
The car shop Barbosa is referencing is one called Corner Shop Automotive Services, which is about 7 minutes away from the Kern County Sheriff's Office.
How did she take off? How did she get lost? Which way did she even go? Left or right? We don't know. There's only two ways to go. You can't go forward. There's train tracks.
Now, as investigators begin to kind of figure out what exactly happened to Ana, her family began sharing incredible personal things. Her diary. That you see, Ana began to write down a lot of her thoughts in her diary about what she was going through in the current stage of her life. Now, reading through some of the family members' accounts, which I will post, you can guys see, because it is a lot, right? They had to translate it because it was written in Spanish. And I did not get the impression that Ana was documenting anything. I just got the impression that She was just trying to make sense of her life and where she was in the current stage of where, you know, in her life or whatever. I really just felt like I was reading through, you know, from the family's accounts and what they sent me, just private thoughts of someone trying to make sense of, like I said, the different changes in her life, her marriage, and things that actually were going on. If you have a diary, then you know 1000% what I mean, right? You write, you journal the thoughts that you have going on currently in your brain to get it out. Honestly, journaling is the best way, okay? In talking to God, if you believe in God. But over the course of reading several of the entries, Ana describes what she believed was a slow deterioration of her relationship. She would write about her emotional distance, you know, feeling increasingly alone, discovering messages between her husband and another woman, repeated arguments, finances that were causing a strain in the relationship, and just moments that really made her question who she was in this current moment of her life. What struck out to me is these were her personal thoughts. You know, these were the things, like I said, she was going through. I don't believe that she was documenting anything as evidence, but sometimes a diary can really tell the full picture of someone that has disappeared that you can't physically talk to because they have disappeared. Now, as I began to read what the family had posted and sent me, I got the understanding that there was a lot of changes that occurred around 2022, right? The year. She believed that her marriage had once been stable, but now it was beginning to fall apart. She describes the emotional disconnect from him and saying how they rarely spoke. Now, I did see pictures on the family's social media page for her that he was also abusive. She had bruises, you know, on her body. So potentially a DV case. Now, it's a lot of information. There was a lot of diary entries, you know, and of course, being as respectful as possible when I'm discussing this because, you know, I had a mother that went through domestic violence and it's not pretty. It's not something that, you know, you boost about, of course, right? But to talk with respect. There was one entry that I read that, you know, she was looking through her husband's phone while he was sleeping and discovering messages with other women. She wrote that she felt humiliated and remembered the pain of confronting him when she found out. One of the entries that I read, she wrote, "I feel humiliated with so much pain in my heart." And as I would continue to read, one thing that really stood out to me wasn't just the arguments, it was about how she would describe her feelings and not feeling enough. You know, everything that bothered him, everything that wasn't perfect. Nothing was sufficient. Nothing was ever good enough, right? And so I think that weighed on her a lot as I began to read these diary entries that she was pouring her heart out too. And there also was documentation about finances. In one entry, she described being given a credit card for what she believed would be a future vacation. Only to later discover that it had been reported it was lost and replaced without her knowledge. In another incident, she noticed that the key to her safety deposit box had disappeared from her keychain, something that she said left her very confused and unsettled. Now, according to Ana's family, these diary entries, along with publicly discussed financial records and other arguments, raise additional questions about what Ana said she was experiencing before her disappearance. Now, while these diary entries are Ana's personal perspective, they also provide an intimate glimpse into the state of her mind in the years leading up to May 2024. Probably wondering what's going on with the investigation with everything that I laid out for you. Well, Ana still is disappeared. She has not turned up. There has not been anything to show any movement regarding Ana, literally. According to public reportings, you're probably wondering about the husband, Fabian. He initially, like I said, spoke with investigators and made public statements following Ana's disappearance. However, after multiple interviews, he retained a lawyer, you know, and he stopped speaking, like I said previously. And that's his constitutional right. But as a husband, wouldn't you want to know what has happened to your wife? I would want to know, regardless of our circumstances.
He said she planned to take an Uber home and claimed he ordered the ride for her. But according to those documents, investigators found no record of an Uber being requested from his phone that day.
But police are actively searching for Ana. And that is why the family is working so hard to get billboards put up. They have a reward for $10,000 for any new information regarding the disappearance of Ana Barbosa. But with so many questions that remain unanswered, investigators have not publicly announced that this case has gone cold. That I have not seen that, right? Like I said, Ana remains missing and the reward is in place, and their family is working hard to keep her name alive and active. And that's the most important part that you can do, regardless, with little bit of information that you have. The most important part is to continue to keep her face and her name in the headlines. And that's one thing I have realized as I've covered so many stories along the way that do come out and back into the limelight. Now, there is a Facebook page set up for Ana. I will tag it below where you can go and find all the updates regarding Ana Barbosa's disappearance. It's truly a sad case as I begin to examine everything and trying to be respectful about her private diaries, you know, because that is her perspective. And it's so sad, you know, when you hear and read someone's thoughts and they're missing, they have disappeared. You know, as always, I'm sending the family love and light, and I thank them for trusting me to put this on my platform. You know, like I said, go support them, support their Facebook page, you know, and show them some love because they need it. You know, I really do hope new information turns up. Now, as always, we don't assume in these cases, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'm just praying that investigators don't give up in the fight to find Ana. Regardless of which way this turns, you know, you never know in some cases, but no matter what, I just pray that they get the answers that they seek. And as always, guys, I'm thanking you for tuning in, and I hope that new information turns up, and I'm sending love and light to Ana's family. Until the next episode, guys, I'll see you. Bye, guys.
Ochoa says he gave her a different version, that after the argument, Barbosa left through a back door. She says that has left her with unanswered questions about what happened that day.
I can't live with that story. I can't live with it because I feel like there's more to it.